Section number 1 of Christmas Roses. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recorded by Charlotte Duckett. Christmas Roses by Lizzie LAWSON and Robert Ellis MACK. Christmas Roses. A bunch of Christmas roses, dear, to greet my fairest child. I plucked them in my garden where the drifting snow laid piled. I cannot bring thee violets, dear, or cowslips growing wild, or daisy chains for thee to wear, my child. For all the grassy meadows near are clad with snow, my child. Through all the days of winter drear, no rays of sun have smiled. I plucked this bunch of verses, dear, from out my garden wild. I plucked them in the winter drear, for you, my fairest child. Your wet and wintry hours to cheer, they're Christmas roses, child. End of section 1. Section 2 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie LAWSON and Robert Ellis MACK. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Christmas Stocking. I don't believe that Santa Claus will come to you and me, said little crippled Nell, "acause we are so poor, you see. And then I don't believe the chimbley's wide enough for him. Do you think Santa Claus will come when all the lights are dim?" "Of course he comes to everyone, dear, whether rich or poor." "Now go to bed, dear Nell," said Nan. "He'll come tonight, I'm sure." I don't know if by chimney or if by stair he crept, but sure enough he visited the room where Nelly slept. He brought a golden orange and a monkey red and blue, that climbed a little wooden stick in a way I couldn't do. He hung them in Nell's stocking, and Nan was right, be sure. For Santa Claus loves everyone, however rich or poor. End of section 2. Section 3 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie LAWSON and Robert Ellis MACK. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Pet Rabbit. I have a little bunny with a coat as soft as down, and nearly all of him is white except for one bit brown. The first thing in the morning, when I get out of bed, I wonder if my bunny's still safe in his little shed. And then the next thing I do, I dare to say you have guessed, is to go at once and see him when I am washed and dressed. And every day I see him, I like him more and more, and each day he is bigger than he was the day before. I feed him in the morning with bran and bits of bread, and every night I take some straw to make his little bed. What with carrots in the morning, and turnip tops for tea, if a bunny can be happy, I'm sure he ought to be. But when it's nearly bedtime, I go down to his shed, and say, "Good night, you bunny," before I go to bed. I think there's only one thing that would make me happy quite, if I could take my bunny dear with me to bed at night. End of section 3. Section 4 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie LAWSON and Robert Ellis MACK. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Father's Boat. It's Father's boat we're watching, away out on the sea. She's named the Pretty Polly, 193. Father calls her the Polly, after Mother and me. There isn't a smarter boat than Father's on the sea. The Pretty Polly is our ship. Father's the skipper, is he. And we are watching for Father. We're watching, Nancy and me. Sometimes the wind blows wildly, when Nancy and Mother and me, we sing a bit of a hymn we know, a hymn for those at sea. Although when we think of Father, he's nearer to choke as can be. Tonight the moon will be shining, a sight it will be to see. Father's ship, all in silver, a sailing on a silver sea. And Father himself a coming home, to Mother and Nancy and me. End of section 4. Section 5 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie LAWSON and Robert Ellis MACK. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A Mistake. My dears, whatever are you at? You ought to be at home. I told you not to wet your feet. I told you not to roam. Oh dear, I'm sure you will be drowned. I never saw such tricks. Come home at once and go to bed, you naughty, naughty chicks. Now most of them were 5 days old, but one, whose age was 6. "Please, ma'am," said he, I think we're ducks. I don't believe we're chicks. End of section 5. Section 6 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A sad tale. Who's afraid of a cat? Said he. I'm not afraid of a cat. He was a bird who sat on a rail, while 5 other birds, and this was his tale. I'm not afraid of a cat. I might be afraid if I were a mouse, or even if I were a rat. But I am a bird, I give you my word. I'm not afraid of a cat. A cat and her kits came down on the scene. 5 birds flew over the rail. Our hero was caught, as quick as a thought, but he didn't alter his tale. You've made a mistake, Mr. Cat, said he. You must let me go, Mr. Cat. I'm not at all nice, I don't taste like mice. You'd much better have a young rat. Said the cat, it's no use, you may be a goose. I'll not let you go for all that. End of section 6. Section 7 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The crew of the Nancy Lee. Polly's the mate of the Nancy Lee, and Tom is the skipper bold. They sail together in rough winds and weather, and they are the crew all told. In their taut and trim little boat they ride, away o'er the bright blue sea, with hands ever ready and hearts ever steady, whatever the dangers may be. A smarter crew will never be found, though you may search the whole world round. End of section 7. Section 8 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. High for Christmas. Bring frost, bring snow, come winter, bring us holly. Bring joy at Christmas, off with melancholy. Sing high, sing hey, sing ho, sing holly. Sing high for Christmas, isn't winter jolly? Sing Jack, sing Jill, sing Joe, sing Polly. Sing high for Christmas, mistletoe and holly. End of section 8. Section 9 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Bedtime. It's bedtime, bedtime, Sissy dear. It's time to put away your little Noah's Ark, dear, until another day. You know it isn't right at all to tire yourself with play. And they too must be tired. The elephants want to go to bed if they're up much later. They'll be ill, I know. And every well-bred camel is in bed long ago. But surely you can see, dear, it really isn't right. The little dove's so tired, dear, she scarce can stand upright. It does not do to keep them up so very late at night. End of section 9. Section 10 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Puss in the Corner. You are a naughty pussy cat. I think it right to mention that. To all who see your picture here, 'twas you who broke my bunny dear. Half an hour, as I can tell. I left him here alive and well, and now he's dead. And what is more, you broke his leg, I'm pretty sure. For now, my puss, I'll never care. No, never, never, never there. And you are in disgrace, you know. And in the corner you will go. What, crying? Well, I must cry too, for I can't bear to punish you. Perhaps my bunny isn't dead. Perhaps you've only stunned his head. Though I am sure you broke his leg. It may be mended with a peg. And though he's very, very funny, my bunny's not a real bunny. And I'll forgive you and tell you that you are my own precious pussy cat. End of section 10. Section 11 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The Little He and She. Once there lived, I'm not sure where, maybe Mackadee, sweetheart and his mistress fair. They danced a measure light, danced in very glee, hand in hand, a pretty sight, little he and she. When they ceased, his bright eyes fell. Darling, must we stay? Can't we dance so happily, you and I for aye? Then she clasped his hands again. whispered sweet and low, "Dearest, always hand in hand, you and I will go." So they danced, with merry feet, e'en in Acadie, happier pair you ne'er will meet, little he and she. End of section 11. Section 12 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Little Bo Peep. Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep. It's a secret to you I'm confiding. At the end of the shelf, where she put them herself, her bar lambs are safely hiding. If you put a thing safely away, you're sure not to find it when wanted next day. End of section 12. Section 13 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Hopes and fears. Like clouds that flit across the sky, so follow hopes and fears. What in these clouds see you and me? My sweetheart, smiles and tears. This little airy fleecy wing that flits across the blue, what message, sweetheart, does it bring, of hope or fear to you? Pray God it brings you sunny hours, and haply some few tears, to bless the showers, your summer flowers, in the long coming years. End of section 13. Section 14 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. The story of the Book Fairy. Shall I sing you a song, not short and not long, of a storybook fairy who hides all among the covers and leaves of your pictures and prints, and colours them all with such beautiful tints? First he kisses the girls with the fairest curls, then they blush like red roses, and each head whirls. In each little eye drops a bit of blue sky, and colours each frock with a wonderful dye. His breathing, I ween, is a wonderful sheen, that clothes trees and meadows with loveliest green. The buttercups bold, it need hardly be told, are gilded by him with the finest gold. It is he, I suppose, who paints the red rose, and the rest of the flowers, which everyone knows, and the same red will do, or a similar hue, for Robin or Little Red Riding Hood too. He's awake, it is said, when you are abed, for the picture book doggies and cats must be fed, and the picture book children some stories he'll tell, and sometimes he'll read them their verses as well. The moment you open your picture book he is away out of sight as quick as can be, for fairy lore says that a fairy must die the instant he's seen by one human eye. End of section 14. Section 15 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Spring. The tiny crocus is so bold, it peeps its head above the mould, before the flowers awaken, to say the spring is coming dear, with sunshine and that winter drear will soon be overtaken. End of section 15. Section 16 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Golden days. There are days of summer sunshine, of warm and sunny weather, when the hedge is full of hawthorn and hills are glad with heather. There are days of silent sadness, of frost and snow and rain, when we fear that summer's gladness will never come again. And now our songs are minor key, and now in merry tune, the windward side will change to lee, and January to June. Day and night the sun is shining, though he may hide his head, each cloud has a silver lining. The flowers are asleep, not dead. Every day may have its playtime, made bright by cheerful lays, and life may be one long Maytime, a year of golden days. End of section 16. Section 17 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. I think it is very hot today. I feel it in my shell. I can't shake hands with you, said Nell. It isn't thought polite without an introduction. Besides, I doubt it's spite. It mayn't be true, but still they do. They do say you bite. End of section 17. Section 18 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. A song. I hear a song, I think 'tis a thrush's. He sings to a wild rose, see how she blushes. End of section 18. Section 19 of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Nearly bedtime. Over half an hour or so, before the nurse calls them to bed, the ruddy lights of a cheerful fire shine over each curly head. No troubles have they, no sorrows. Their heads are lighter than air. No fear that a dark tomorrow may bring with it want or care. God send them each on their pathway many a wayside flower, and grant on this evening of lifetime the joy of the evening hour. End of section 19. End of Christmas Roses by Lizzie Lawson and Robert Ellis Mack. Read by Charlotte Duckett.